It's all numbers, dude. That's the beautiful thing about this business. Wherever you, on the management side or on the agent side, it's all numbers.
Yeah.
But it's also having a system that you understand those numbers, and because it always comes down to what the number of people I see, the number of people I present with on a daily basis, the lead flow, and the number of hours I work. If you track these numbers, you'll find your ROI on your leads. You'll find your return on your efforts with the presentations. You'll find your closing percentage, and then you just filter in the numbers.
That's good. Dude, you have given some like really good info today.
Sure.
You know, like, yeah, we're telling your story, but like I've got more than a page of freaking notes. I don't even know where to put anything else on this piece of paper. What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. And man, we are not only back in studio for an in-person interview, but I have a cat that I have been following and studying for years. He is incredibly impressive, very humble, collegiate baseball player, failed in insurance, but is now far from failing and is freaking crushing it. Let me give you a few like highlights about him before I bring him in. Again, a really good, down-to-earth human being that I like spending time with. I'm grateful he's here in studio in Springfield. He is someone that, wrote over 200 grand in production net year for years selling. Also last year they had about 15 million in production. His team, over 15,000 families helped because of efforts of him and his team members in his organization. Over 170 writers last week, which is really cool. And here's what some of the things we're going to be focusing on today. For those that are like, what will I learn? We're going to focus on system, culture, and leadership. They have an amazing system to help agents plug in and get paid every week. So if you're out there and you're like, bro, I like the thought of money hitting my bank account, cha-ching this week, cha-ching next week, cha-ching the week after that, then you're going to love the podcast. Please welcome a senior partner from NASB, Dusty Todd.
Hey, brother. Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate you. I know we've been, we're both very busy. We've been trying to make this work, so thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
You have an amazing story that I've heard a little bit of. You've spoken at a couple of our events, so thank you for that.
Sure. Really
good speaker. If you guys ever need one man speaker, trainer, this dude is one of the best. You guys have a bunch of good speakers and trainers in NASB, by the way.
Yeah.
Bunch of good people, man. Yourself, Blythe. I mean, I can keep going. Ashley, Keith, Jordan. I mean, dude, you guys got a bunch of people that are like really impressive.
The list goes on, man. But it's kind of like the last time we met. I said success leaves clues. I think it starts at the top, and it's kind of trickled down. But our guys they've just we've developed them ourselves, and it's
cool.
It's pretty special to be a part of that type of talent.
Yeah. Did you see? Because like when you were growing up, did you see the success that you are having today being in your life? How old are you?
37.
37.
Just turned 37 a couple weeks ago.
Dude, happy belated birthday. Give him a happy birthday in the comments below. You got me by 3 years. We're pretty close.
Sure.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
I'm 34 and a half. Did you, when you were 20 years ago, 17 years old, about to be graduating high school soon, did you see this then?
Absolutely not, man. I was all athletics. That's all I focused on growing up. Obviously playing 3 sports in school, but baseball.
What 3?
Baseball, basketball, and football.
Okay.
But kind of tailored towards baseball growing up, and just like any young kid, obviously you want to be a professional baseball player. So I had zero ambitions of really growing a business, or especially being in the insurance business, man. So I'd like to say yes, but no, man. I never thought we'd be where we are.
Wow, it's cool. Who was like Dusty growing up? Like, tell me about your childhood. Where'd you grow up?
Sure.
Tell me about your family, siblings, parents, all that.
Come from a small town, probably less than 3,000 people in eastern North Carolina. Growing up, I mean, my family was, my dad, he was a boat mechanic. He owned a boat store.
Cool.
And so I kind of got maybe a little bit of the entrepreneur side of things from him. But kind of, when 08 hit, 2007, 2008, 08 hit, and the boating business is a luxury business. And so my dad kind of, because of he got flooded through a hurricane. So he kind of lost, basically his business. So there were some good times when I was really young, and there were some hard times kind of, as I got older, as an adult heading into college. And I like to think that, look, my dad and my mom, very thankful I had great parents, very thankful for everything they ever done for me, but I'm not a kid that really came from a silver spoon. I kind of had to earn a lot of things growing up, and I think that's got a lot to do with maybe some of the success that we've had now. Is because of maybe that upbringing, being taught the right disciplines, the right characters, issues, and stuff like that. But yeah, man, didn't come from the silver spoon, but I wouldn't change anything if I could go back.
Is that where the drive comes from?
100%.
Do you think do you credit more of like what parts of Dusty do you maybe cater to your different parents?
Well, my dad was a competitor, and he's big in athletics. He was a competitor. Even growing up when he was coached me, and he kind of had that mindset that he hated to lose, and I definitely got that from him. I believe I hate to lose more than I like to win, as most competitors do. And I think that type of just upbringing, that competitiveness, I think that transitioned very well into the business side of things as well.
True.
So for sure.
Yeah, my gosh, it kind of reminds me. You're talking about your dad. It makes me think of my dad. He was so freaking competitive. Still is too. Oh my gosh. I don't even I'm a fierce competitor, but I'm like, am I as competitive as he is? He's just crazy. But it is where I got that as well.
Sure.
And to succeed in this business, I think you need to be competitive.
Great.
But but it's different than baseball where you're competing against the other team. You're competing against yourself.
Sure.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the hardest. But I mean, very similarities with baseball. They say baseball is mental. It's mental. If you fail, 3 out of 10 times, you're considered a Hall of Famer with hitting. So I think a lot of that aspect, translates very well into this business. But athletics in general, I think a lot of the daily habits, the routine, the disciplines that somebody that's going to be successful or excel at a high level in athletics, that transfers very well into this business. And so you're not only competing with yourself, but I think that's why it's important, because you are kind of competing. I want to be better today than I was yesterday, but it's also important to have a team around you, like the athletic side of things, that's going to help stretch you, but also is going to help you with your blind spots as well. I don't care what level you go in or go through in this business, you're going to have some type of blind spots and sometimes a mentor can help you, or a coach can help pull you through that.
Amen. Yeah, mentorship's so important, having other people that can see it. One of my mentors along the way always said that you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame, like somebody else can see it better for you. And I relate to that too, because I'm thinking about, I feel like I focus on, maybe this isn't always good, but I feel like I focus on the blind spots or the areas that we are underperforming more than the areas that we're succeeding at.
Sure.
It's just, I guess it's just normal.
Well, I think people are opposite. I think most of the time we focus on the success that we're having, because a lot of times it comes easy, but long term, eventually you're going to have to develop those weaknesses. You're going to have to address them, reflect on them, and address them, but also somewhat develop them, because most of the time those weaknesses are the thing that's holding our business back at whatever level that you're at.
Amen. That's such a good point too, and I have a few questions I want to go to, but one of the things you made me think about that I want our audience to hear is, I do feel like this year, even the last year-ish in my business, and we've been through a lot, with buying partners out and other stuff, right? But I felt like I focused on, I think one thing that's changed in my management style and leadership is I've started focusing on what areas of the business should be growing and what can we do to help those areas grow. That historically I was always just like bouncing around as a leader. And now it's like, no, we need more focus out of Cody. We don't need ADHD Cody anymore. You know what I mean? We need focus from Cody. I think a lot of agents, though, to transition, struggle with focus. And they struggle with, okay, I told Dusty, I'm going to go invest in leads, knock on these doors, follow up with these leads. And if I do this, I'll make, like, what's an average, it's someone that's actually puts in the work. They have leads. They go follow up with them. They go run appointments, door knock, etc.
Sure.
Like, is there a metric where if you will do X amount of this, you will produce this on average?
Sure. I think this business is all numbers, but typically I would think the first year agents should be doing 85 to 115K minimum in deposits. If you're not doing that, a lot of times there's maybe something that you're either not saying it enough or you're not saying it right.
Yeah.
And that's where a good coach can come in. But if somebody's not getting those results, a lot of times it's just because I think maybe they struggle with not developing those weaknesses, or there's a reason why there's a disconnect, why they're not getting those results. Now, obviously, if sales is for you, because there's a bunch of different variables, but we have a formula and we have a playbook that if you do X, Y, and Z, you should get these results. And so, that's why it's so important, I think, to do monthly recaps with new agents. If we set a goal, we had some targets and we didn't hit it, find that reason why we didn't hit it. Because I was talking to my team about this the other day, and I think this is important. We don't want to lose, or we don't want to lose in February the same way that we lost in January.
Amen.
You have to make adjustments, and a lot of times people that are struggling, what adjustments are they making? Most of the time, they're not making any.
They always said what made Bill. I mean, it's got the Super Bowl coming up in a few days. They always say what made Bill Belichick so special is the adjustments that he was making along the way,
100%.
Mid-game, halftime, all those things. I think you're right. Like we have people that say, "Hey, dude, I want to be successful.
Sure,
I'll do whatever it takes." Or they may say, "Bro, I want the formula." He says Dusty's got a formula or a playbook, bro. Feed it to me,
Yeah.
Which we will. But the formula for a producer to go do 185 to 115K, it's not changing. They're having to change to
Sure.
But it's interesting though, but how many people even come work for you that you give them the formula, but they don't run the play?
100%. Dude, a lot of I wish I had those stats in front of me, man, but it'd be mind blowing. More that don't than do. But I think the biggest issue is from maybe an average or below average producer and somebody that's a high performer. There's only a small margin, in my opinion, from the person that's having great success and the person that's not. Obviously, I think it's having more conversations, finding a way to have more conversations on a consistent basis. But I was actually talking to the team about this the other day. When you really look at all the high performers, especially on our team, in our organization at least, I think I call it the 4 C's. Number one, they're consistent. They have a consistent schedule. When you think about consistency, you think just schedule. No, they're consistent with their technique on how they say their approach, with how they give the same presentation. They're consistent with everything. Most of the time, they keep their sales consistent. There's no big week and no low week, so they're keeping it pretty consistent. And the biggest thing is they're consistent with their emotions. So there's no high and there's no low. They learn. A lot of this stuff's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And so they learn how to be consistent. The second thing is connecting. They're great connectors. People that perform at a high level, they learn how to have the proper connections in the house or over the phone or whatever with the client. And they also know how to kind of turn it on and turn it off, make a part of the conversation about the client, but also they learn how to, hey, it's time for me to be the advisor, the trusted advisor, like the doctor approach. And I think that's an art, and you have to learn how to do some of that. But the people that do it at a high level, they do that. The third area is they're great. They're in constant communication. So what I mean by communication, that means who are they talking to? Are they talking to their coaches constantly? All high performers, just because you're performing at a super high level, you're still in constant conversation with the people, your mentors, the people that are, and they don't have to be directly connected to you, but there's somebody that you can learn from.
No doubt.
And that takes ego out of it.
Yeah, I had someone tell me yesterday that they have an agent that has been sending them a production report for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
And they're the top producer, and they're crushing it. And the person's like, I don't even need them to send me their production report anymore, but they've held themselves
But
accountable
they're
to
staying
the communication.
They're staying connected with
Correct.
communication.
Correct.
So they have great communication with their coaches, their mentors, and then the fourth thing for most high performers is just they're committed. They're 100% committed. They're doing what they're saying they're going to do. They're holding themselves accountable, and then there's no plan B.
Yeah.
And that's just a small margin if you really think of it. But I guarantee you, most people, if they're not getting results, they can go back and there's a disconnect in one of those 4 areas.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I want you guys to think as you're listening to this, right? Consistent, connections, communication, and committed. In these 4 areas, be honest. Evaluate yourself. Throw it in the comments and say, hey, here's where I am personally struggling. Where do you I think I know the answer, but where do you think majority of the agents listening are struggling with at this point?
Usually 2 areas. Number one, they're not consistent.
No.
They're inconsistent, very inconsistent. That was me. Every time I struggled as an agent is because I look back and I was inconsistent with my business. Not always with schedule, but with many parts of the business.
Yeah.
The second area is communication. You may be doing great, or what we're doing great in the past, and you kind of let the ego slide in, and I don't need to talk to my coach anymore because I'm better than them, or they're just not connected.
I don't need that event
yes,
or that
dude,
training call.
I'm telling you, that is the biggest disconnect. Is people, they have a little bit of success, or on the flip side of it, maybe they aren't having success, but they're scared to reach out and reach up and pull for help.
Yes. What would you advise? So what what if they're on an island and they feel like they're alone and they don't talk to their upline of their company? They want to succeed, but they don't even know what the freak to do, man.
Well, I think it comes down to will. How much do you want to win? Because that's just an excuse. Because you may not have the best coach. That's okay. There's so much information on the internet now with YouTube, with what you're doing, with what so many others are doing, that, yes, being a part of the right organization and the right people is important. Having the right coach is big. But that's also an excuse because there's resource to be able to get you thinking and moving in the right direction until you find that right coach.
Yeah. No doubt. I want to take a second out of our show because if there's 2 things that agents need to grow an insurance business today, it is leads. CABOOM's got you covered there. The second is mentorship. But most agents do not know where to find vetted industry experts that can actually help them without charging them tens of thousands of dollars and breaking the bank from some random person in their basement that has never succeeded in insurance. Well, because you don't know who to trust, we have created Mentor Ready, where we have vetted industry experts who are ready to answer your questions, and you can literally book calls on their calendar so they can help you. If you'd like to learn more about Mentor Ready and what all categories and insurance lines and mentors are available to help you, click the link below or go to mentorready.com. Back to the show. What should they look for? So a lot of people talk about what you look for, which I'm curious of. What if they're looking for a mentor or a coach? What should they look for?
I think somebody that has what they want. That's the key, right? I mean, if you're going to follow somebody, do they have what you want?
Yeah.
Are they able to teach you and help pull you to a level that you're not currently at? If I'm taking advice from somebody that's at my level or below, what can they teach me? Yes, they can teach me a few things.
Sure.
But when I'm looking at a good coach, what are some of the successes that they've had?
Amen.
Just because you can sell doesn't always mean that you can lead. However, if you have had success in certain areas, there's certain principles that you can teach me to help that got you results. They may not work for me, but at least you're going to lead me in the right direction.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, what you're looking for. But ultimately, like for me personally, I'm looking for somebody that has what I want, and are they going to be able to pull me to that level?
That's right.
If not, I'm going to find a better one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just being honest.
And that's the competitor in you.
Sure.
That's like, dude, I ain't freaking.
Yeah.
And you know what? He didn't, we talked about 4 C's. He didn't even mention competitive.
Sure.
Is it a cool DNA? No doubt. If he could find it in every sales rep, he would love to. But it isn't a.
Yeah.
But being consistent is so much more important than you being competitive. Because also some competitors are just uber competitive, and then they start winning, and then they do become inconsistent.
That's ego.
Yeah.
That's ego. I think ego is one of the biggest things that knocks people out of business. Look, it's humbled me throughout my career. I'm sure it's humbled you
my gosh,
at
dude.
some point.
Way too many times.
As well, man. But sometimes you have to learn that you aren't the best. You have to really self-reflect and dive into your weaknesses. And then that's where I think the mentorship and somebody that's going to be able to point those blind spots out can help you. But people that really humble themselves and realize just because I've had success in certain areas, I can develop in other areas and I can get better. Yep.
What do you think about when someone's like, when people tell you, like, when you're talking to somebody and they're like, dude, I crushed it in car sales. That was amazing. I'm really good. I'll pick this up easy. No problem. I'm amazing. Or I'm doing when people talk to you like that, when they're looking to work with you, what goes through your head?
Well, the first thing I want to know is, why are you looking? Because if you're doing so good there, why are you looking? Now, I'm not saying, because I think people come to this industry for multiple different reasons. Obviously, revenues is one. Time. He may be working 80 hours a week and making great money, $300-400K a year, but has zero time with his family. And there's very few industries that can replace that. Fortunately, this one can. But so that's, I want to find out the reason why he's looking first. Obviously, if they say they've had success, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But I want to know why is he looking? Because if you're doing so great there, why are you looking for the next opportunity? Because somebody maybe does the same thing when we bring them on. Like, I'm going to put a lot of time, money, effort into training and developing somebody.
Yes.
Sometimes those people can be dangerous too. So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What do you look for when you are looking at a potential hire?
Yeah, man, dude, there's a lot that goes into it, but I like a closet winner. I want somebody that's had success in the past, may not be business success, but they've had some type of success, but maybe they just haven't found the right vehicle yet, or the right people to help get them to where they want to be. That's what I'm looking for. I also like somebody that's got some scars. Somebody that, hey, look, everything wasn't gravy for them. They've had to battle through some stuff.
Amen.
Because when you battle through that stuff, that character that you develop, that's what keeps progressing you in the business.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, they say the confidence is the memory of success.
Sure.
Well, if you've had it before,
you can get it back.
You can get it back. You can get it back. That's good. That's really good. That's a great answer. Also, we've talked, actually, before we get to the kind of the system, formula, playbook of what you'll do, when you jumped in the business, speaking to new people and looking at potential hires and finding people, you mentioned you struggled initially.
Sure.
How'd you find insurance? What'd that look like?
Yeah, so like I said, I come from an athletic background. It came a time where that was over. Had to kind of hang the cleats up. And
where'd you play?
So I know.
Where'd you play baseball?
Yes, so I played 2 years at North Carolina Wesleyan, and then I walked on East Carolina, tore my shoulder, and never really got to play with them. But I was on the team. As my claim to fame.
That's awesome, dude. That's great.
But anyway, I ended up tearing my shoulder, and then it came a time where you had to hang them up, and I didn't know what was going to be the next direction. One of my best friends growing up, his dad said, he was a very successful entrepreneur. He said, look, man, you should look and get into insurance. I was like, insurance? I don't want anything to do with sales. That's not me. I'm a small-town country boy. But he said, you should look into it. He's like, because think about it. There's a ton of money in the industry. He was like, but think about anybody that you know that does insurance long-term, somebody that's been doing it for 3 years, 5 years. If you can make it, they're always traveling, these luxurious trips. They're always on the golf course. Seems like their life's a little bit better than most. That's what got me into insurance. I got with a company, so I got licensed, got with a company, just a little bit different business model. I failed miserably. They were telling me I was doing good, but I wasn't making any money. And so my philosophy was, look, I can sit home and go broke. So I ended up getting out of insurance. Bounced around a couple jobs, had a job at a factory. I was like a lead person there. I just, man, it was shift work. I didn't have to work hard, but I just hated being there. And I was like, maybe 23, 24 at the time. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that wasn't it. So I ended up going back to school. I was going to get my MBA. And it just came to a point where Keith randomly calls me. I had my insurance license. He just randomly calls me. School's about to get out. And he says, come look at this. You should come. Anybody that knows Keith, Keith Thomason, he's no connection at all.
Keith's incredible.
And he just randomly calls me and just says, this fast pitch. I didn't even understand half of what he was saying because I didn't really understand the insurance industry. But anyway, there's something I could tell it was genuine. He was genuine, and so I met him. did a half a day ride along with him, watched what he did, saw that the business model was different than the previous company, I felt like he could be a good mentor. And so I ended up getting contracted. But if I'm being dead honest, I probably started this career like a lot of people. Probably the wrong way, in my opinion. I started at part-time. I don't know what's right or what's wrong, but I started at part-time. Had Keith knew then that my plans were to be part-time, just going to take a summer job, I may not be here today.
Wow.
But he took a chance on me, and then I started having success. And I was able to be successful. First full year in the business, was able to earn, 6 figures. So the same guy was able to, fail one company, was able to be successful at another one. There's a lot that goes into it, but I think it comes down to being with the right platform, the right people, and the right company. It's ultimately important.
Yes. How often does that happen, you think, where somebody thinks insurance not for them, but maybe they could have done really well somewhere else?
I think it happens all the time.
I do too.
I think it happens more times than we know. Even in different organizations, even in some of our organizations, we have there's terrible coaches, and they've got to get better. They shouldn't be hiring people. I'm sorry, I'm just being dead honest, man. Look, just because you can sell don't mean you can lead.
Correct.
And the way I try to teach all of our guys, and I mean, obviously we have good coaches. We have some that are working and growing, but we're not just hiring Cody. We're hiring Cody and Lauren.
Yeah.
We're hiring we're hiring the family. And if you look at it that way, you would probably give them a little bit more time to develop them.
Yeah, and the spouse will also give them more time to figure it out.
Sure.
If you're getting to know them too, because a lot of people, they don't get to know the spouse at all, and they don't care.
And it's a big disc. Like we have our national conference coming up in Athens. It's going to be great. The end of February, 24th and 25th, and I'm encouraging all our guys, get your spouse there. We have an event. It's, that the spouses get to dress nice, black tie dinner. But I think it's so important to get the family involved, especially if you're going to do big things long term. The goal is not to be a shooting star. The goal is to be a planet, right? Not just blow in, blow up, and blow out. We want to keep you around.
That's right.
And I think having that support at home is very critical, especially your first 18 months.
Yep. And then eventually, hey, you've got other planets revolving around you too.
That's right.
Right?
That's right, man. Sure.
So what was different about the system that Keith plugged you into?
Sure.
That you now also help agents with? Is it similar to what how you started? Is it the same? Is it different?
No, the biggest difference, 3 things. Obviously, you're probably not going to like this, but I'm going to say it. Leads.
Please.
Leads was big.
Oh,
leads are the lifeblood.
Huge.
Having an in-house lead platform was huge because at the other company, I was having to spend all my time prospecting. They didn't have leads. So it's the lifeblood. So I think that was a big part.
No doubt.
Obviously the training and the mentorship, not just being put in sales school, but actually been taken in the field, running appointments.
I love that.
Watching
shadowing,
it.
man.
Watching it. That's our training.
Explain before we get to number 3. How does that work?
So our business model is, like, when we hire somebody, we're going to put them in the car. We're going to train them, hand field train them. We're actually going to run appointments with you. We're going to teach you how to do that. And
where else is still doing that? I don't mean like specifically, but how many people are actually still doing that?
I'm not 100% sure, man. I really couldn't tell you. I just know that's one of the
fewer and far between.
Yeah, it is. Because it's easy to teach over Zoom, and I'm not saying you can't get results, because you can.
Correct.
A lot of people have proven that. But just I'm kind of old school, because that's what was done with me, and I like that hands-on training, that touch, being able to take, hey, Cody, look, you said it this way. Let's make the adjustment and just say it this way. Being able to watch you and shadow you.
It's easier to duplicate this across an organization and more people the way you do it too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, but you're also limited travel. If I got an agent in Missouri, I got to fly out here and come train him. But that's also a commitment, so. But, there's give or takes. But I definitely think that the hands-on training, because more of this business is kind of caught versus taught. You learn by doing and watching versus kind of, just kind of learning it over Zoom or over a training video.
That's good. What's number 3? So leads and then training and mentorship.
Leads, training, mentorship, and then I think having the another difference was being a broker, having more opportunities to be able to sell multiple different families, not just work with one type of person. So I think obviously the leads were important, the training and the mentorship, and then just having the options. That was cool. And then the culture, dude. That was
Yeah.
everything, man. I mean, I know we'll get into that maybe in a minute.
Sure.
But just being a part or
It's
locking
big.
arms with people that were going places was huge.
Correct. What's when you say, okay, here is our playbook.
Sure.
Let's put it on the table. What do y'all do? What is your playbook, and how is it allowing others to plug in? And you even said earlier, I don't know if you guys caught it. I know you caught it because you said it. But you said 85. You said a new agent should do 85 to 115K their first year, as long as they have a good coach and they follow the playbook.
And they commit to the system, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome because I think of the amount of people around the world that are not doing that wish they were.
Well, I'm willing to bet if they're not getting those results, there's a disconnect with a couple areas. I mean, obviously, as a brand new agent, we focus on your schedule. You know, we focus on the technique side of things with the presentation, the approach side of things. We're going to focus on, obviously, communication with your coaches and your mentors. A lot of our coaches, they'll do failure follow-ups on a new agent. So you're in a house, you sold it, you didn't sell it. You call the coach after and you recap. Well, the person that is on the other line, the coach, they may be able to find an area and disconnect. Hey, Cody, you said this wrong. You should have. Next time, let's make the adjustment this way. And so that's going to help a person grow. And then, obviously, I think committing, you have to commit 40 to 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
I know that goes back to schedule, but that's a big part of it, man.
I would agree. So what does it look like too if you think about and you get as specific as you want, like if an agent's like, okay, let's just say that I want to go make 85 to 115. What's the activity that I'm doing on a weekly basis to produce those results?
So we're teaching. I go for presentations. Obviously, you have to get the approaches to be able to give the presentations.
Yeah.
But you should be at least presenting to 15 people minimum. The goal is 20 to 25.
Nice.
Because I think, look, in this business, you can hear all these stats, but the stats that I've seen, the green are 1 in 5. They close 1 in 5. The good, they close 1 in 4. The greats, they close 1 in 3. So it's all numbers. So you just calculate the average premium that you write. You just calculate how many. If you're green, if you're good, if you're great, it'll tell you everything you need to know as far as the number of presentations.
I love that.
And then you just focus on what you can control, because you're always going to have sick, dumb, broken, covered. Those variables, I can't help somebody if they're too sick. If they're covered, they have a great plan, there's nothing I can do. If Jesus himself can't sell them, there's nothing in my power that I can do. They're just too dumb to listen to me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if you take all those variables in there, that's where those numbers came from. And I know some people say they close at 70, 80%, and that's great if they do, but I just take true numbers, and I think if you follow
over a course of time?
Yeah.
Today, maybe.
Sure.
Right?
But if
Maybe.
you really break it down, I mean, just because there's certain people that you just can't help, I think those are pretty accurate numbers. And so you can, I mean, there's some people that, do better than that. But I think if you're closing in 1 in 3, you're doing pretty good. Then it's just getting in front of enough people.
I make people feel a little better too if they're like, man, I'm running 10 appointments, or I'm running nine presentations, but I'm only closing 3.
Well, the key is
You're like, you're doing great.
You're doing good. The key is how can I get you next week, instead of give 9, how can we get you to 15 or 20? And a lot of that's activity. Some of it's lead flow. Some of it's technique. And then it's just finding how to fill the gaps.
Because what you're saying is you may be getting enough leads. You may be approaching enough doors and people, but you may not be getting in as many.
So it's a technique thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're just not saying it right. You're just not telling the joke the right way. And it's very common. Or on the flip side of things, you may be getting in a high percentage of people that you talk to, whether setting appointments or face to face, but you're just not seeing enough.
Yeah.
So how can we get you in front of more people?
It's good.
It's all numbers, dude. That's the beautiful thing about this business.
I
Wherever
love
you, on the management side or on the agent side, it's all numbers.
Yeah.
But it's also having a system that you understand those numbers, and because it always comes down to what the number of people I see, the number of people I present with on a daily basis, the lead flow, and the number of hours I work. If you track these numbers, you'll find your ROI on your leads. You'll find your return on your efforts with the presentations. You'll find your closing percentage, and then you just filter in the numbers.
That's good. Dude, you have given some like really good info today.
Sure.
You know, like, yeah, we're telling your story, but like I've got more than a page of freaking notes. I don't even know where to put anything else on this piece of paper. You know, like it's been you've given, and you all have that's part of a system. You have, you know, certain metrics that you've shared, certain alliterations, certain phrases, certain words, certain things that like you can tell that like this cat has been doing it for a while, and that's not his first day, you know, for sure, right?
Well, yeah, I think
cool.
11 years into 11 years now, so
it's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How important is the culture of the team that you plug into?
yeah. Dude, I think culture is everything, man. Obviously, mentorship's important, but being a part of a culture, our culture and our team is others first. You know, there's no cutthroat. It's about helping others succeed, and we've just developed a great culture. And I remember one of my guys, you know, one of our new emerging leaders at the time came to me. He's like, Dusty, I need you to help me build a culture on my team. And I remember telling the guy, I said, you know, look, man, I can't do that. That's something that you have to do. You're going to have to create your own culture. Because I think that, you know, eventually culture is one of the things that keeps people a part of you. If they feel better with you than without you, they'll stay with you. But what are you doing in your environment to make it? It's not always about being fun, but it's about stretching one another. There's a lot that goes into culture.
Yeah.
But I think long term, that's something that you have to have. And sometimes the culture is evolving, but more times than not, the culture is a reflection of you as the leader.
Amen.
And so, you know, what kind of conversations are you having? What are you doing? What kind of team events? Dude, and I'm not telling people what to do, but I became passionate about this business. It kind of became a hobby, and I enjoy the people I work with. I think that helps with culture.
Yeah.
But I've also put a lot of time and money into investing in those guys.
I'm sure.
And so that kind of rubs off.
Yeah. Can't imagine how much you spend just on like the team and the culture and the events and all the things.
Yeah, well, I
you
don't
do,
look at it
know?
like that, man. I just look at it as it's we've been blessed to have some great people, and I want to give a blessing to them as well.
I love that.
For sure.
It's good. It's good. That's what's unique about this business is you're helping people in so many different ways, you know, and you are, you're helping 15,000 families,
Sure.
you know, like I just had a call a couple days ago, maybe yesterday, I think it was Friday, was an agent that was working all of my old book of business from a decade ago, that, you know, one of the life policies, the husband passed away, you know, and the wife was so thankful that it was in place, and the agent's like, hey, what you did mattered, you know. It's like, how cool is that?
That's amazing, dude. Yeah,
awesome.
I get those calls too, man. It just makes you appreciate now, and you know, of a lot of the work that you did back then.
Correct.
Twisting Miss Johnson's arm into that policy back then. She didn't know it then, but her
Yes.
family appreciates it now, man.
No doubt. And maybe we did have to overcome some objections and help
Sure.
close the business. And now it's like, they don't care about that. They're just grateful that you helped them make that decision and do what was whatever was best for them. You know, just cool.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
Man. Cool.
Dude, if they want to learn more, or what should they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, man. So, we have a website, planrightins.com is our website. They can, check that out for more info. They can hit us up on social media. I think my Instagram is Dusty Todd NESB. I believe that's what it is, or Dusty NESB. Correct me on that, Cody. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm gonna look real quick, actually, because I'm
I
curious.
mean,
Because I'm following him. I don't know if you guys are following him.
Yeah,
yet,
but just
Dusty Todd NASB.
Yep. Just shoot us a DM. Look us up on Facebook. I'll be glad to help anybody we can, man. We have a passion for helping people and helping coach people. That I was very fortunate and very blessed to have great mentors throughout this business, and so now I'm at a part of my career where I'm looking to kind of do the same that was done to me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's cool, man. Well, thanks for all you do.
100%,
And
man.
thanks for being on the Power Player
Dude.
podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy. Also appreciate you guys for hanging with us, man. What an amazing freaking episode, dude. Like, Dusty has so much knowledge and information. You can tell he cares. And again, it's all about having a play that other people can run. And it's not, they're not building a new playbook every day or week or month or year. Like, this is the playbook. This is what we do, and it works. I love that. And so, find that for yourself and go plug in and go get what is yours, because it's possible. Okay, appreciate you guys. Also, if you're like, hey, dude, he mentioned leads, that's big, and I need them, you can go to Kaboom. You can use coupon code YouTube and get 10% off of your very first order at kaboomleads.com. Thanks for hanging with us. Go follow Dusty at Dusty Todd NASB on Instagram, and we will see you on the next podcast. Kaboom.